topics with really interesting right now, especially like the basketball league as well as like represent that through that they don't create the more like that making it to like really some like scenario that I'm looking at the stadium. They are like I'm looking that they could continue more and exactly like how they could like you know that that club members of national fire club that now trying to they are in the leaders of that well and that guy who that he knows what like about it like that arcade shop arcade place and everything like and that guy being there and like fully level for that aspect and then don't bring that the basketball they like okay getting that guy like he's an artist and that's why I'm so disappointed like in totally like shouting out to like the while being get like on the going through that pain and things probably shouting out to like people to the such as with shock and things only shouting out to like people to tell the person don't be to like stop like this now that and at that point so that's something another thing and something else illegal and thing and like only ignoring the faults of that and also help like that like attempt to do the topic like this now that and I think like eventually that people get into the point where like I'm just like that guy at expectation of like having that to feel it in like reflecting his black memories and basically eventually in a correct bounce back basically he might have not that he might have offered like Robin and Dustin and team were like looking up like responding the like the scenario that I so that way I can just bring that that way I can having that delayed memory and basically at that point that I'm doing that by the time the guy is actually to pull out taken a lot of injuries like not and he will be in that absolute shock of that with experience sort of changed in that yeah but then now and that game that and that way until the point from that literally with that guy and then the video shows that and like on the different in that that about only about that with the crafting that making it all the way to that the perfect place like the scenario and the name of the frame that's like expecting see it as well as that moment but my perfect second at that point that see it as would have gone out to get food for like addiction like scenario that I'm so the important to the most likely after small by himself look like heading in that before explosion then is like the situation that is the thing at that point. Exactly why next about earlier that people can share things to become now we talk about and at that point said that's when it's like absolute that's to protect any by getting on that absolute big acting in front of that about the body of the now we got it. So at the moment like about the body and the team will be showing up to that reference state that that was the best team in the point and like I think it's straight away so like the team space straight away the thing like straight away then where edited typically like focus with the timings that's the to tell where it is like person are that but like something else for different like in a theatre now like totally will be only putting on that to take it on that for that scenario that I'm good at it. So like at that point something like county on the that for that personal and left about 12 years like straight away like that scenario that I'm going in at that point that seeing that like the city absolutely flop and then the price while like the world would be attacking us like considering eventually not being able to see that continue to snack the trend of it like front to the point of like the trend of it that like and like the possibility interrupting that's about the level of like the scenario that it is. So certainly at that point like the that is all gets to the embrace the like you know the theory that attacking like the scenario that is yet like I'm different and spectrum of work particular with network different scenario and that they have a different like at that point like heading to the continuing with that atmosphere uh and it should be hiding at that exact location that at that point that would be witnessing how that fully encouraging that doesn't think that they protecting giving infinite on to that to protect that really to be what would be when the setting every witnessing that to be setting in like a beach that and then you being able like all of that here and basically an extremely fresh being like charging it to like the rest of the scenario that we are that when I come to like the class between like it and like the ending that class between like and like the happiness like it's not and I'm totally different at that point like one of like the member in that that one might be the expecting the one more those that will be currently the target of that the real like new monster like and so this thing it to be feeling extremely uneasy at that point is like starting to feel extremely uneasy at that point so like him not being part of like that like in different like the basketball here as well as that the one other member other than using like in that totally like Eddie and he was starting like for Eddie and at that point after putting the situation like Dustin and it was sort of different with the forgetting that taking the that that was also needed and for them and look at it by that feeling like a side like space like scenario that so like by the time Eddie will be getting forward by the Joe as that was like and like like exactly at that time like seeing and all the movie starting back to that place, like the finish like scenario that I'm when you see this like sitting from the jumping in to it is like carbon thing like the scenario that because of the so like that way like that way that at that point I was feeling like an intense clash between like the team of like Eddie and Steve versus like the team of like the basketball player and it's like the scenario actually and why that intense clash should be represented from focus for like all of them and like and considering at that point for like in front of all of them like basically the exact scenario of like the thing happening to that front of like basketball which like in front of all of them is like the scenario that I'm going to go next thing. And at that point I was like all of them being absolutely strong and like everything is like focused. And it's like all that happened to like also and it's like the scenario that so like all of them at that point they be shocked and with the team that we are except for like trading at that point like with the used to that team that due to like the teams that understand the scenario that understand correct that happening at that point different that different what like the one will take more the whole like the better looking at that kind of something and at that point so lesser things for like an interest and the shade of Eddie like shouting out to like the basketball that this was exactly what happened to Brazil is that feeling this scenario that I was going to take and that way like I'm from that point on like I was like the last goal later and it's like friend one of the second and like Lucas ending up being part of like the whole current whole concept of things like that the free like like the scenario that I'm going to go with so that the needs my particular what's the right now set me for that one that I'm moving on day to day before so that while I have so the funny that need by the way for the point like 11 of behind like my down at like the and 20 out of like around like the judge and everyone while that required would be going on by interrupting like the saying the judge was like the scenario that is about all that I'm bringing into the thing is that the judge is most likely giving change and to that so that's the important that I'm looking over there. And that at that point I'm looking that my member was like the being strong and like I'm looking that them all while them all you need to know is that you know if you can gain like I'm looking then that might would be about the price would be the credit wanting to like 8 kilo in that state it's like the scenario that I'm looking over. But like I'm looking that regardless of that. So like the normal sort of the things are like I'm sure like by running like 8 11 at that same but like I'm sure that for some reason like I'm different that my that may that the that they are like more so I saw like anyone to like need the ones like this scenario that I'm so like I'm so different for like 11 that moment 11 will be sort of to the chain like I'm from the like I'm saying that straight away that that the other uh, that in the field of stranger things that in the field of stranger things that being you expose it like that are like after like 11 lessons and like then finding out the exact location of that job by then at least make them by then moving 11 say to that for like their headquarters for like their own use of like stuff and the selling of like 11 and to find out if that 11 is like connected to that the situation is that within the scenario that I'm putting in while all this will be happening like up that for my and that well then a lot of maybe the thing that is you things that they say that they do that and then we can say all things of the concept of that white black German able to that German cannot see that being killer as well with that in the scenario that is the always brain. Yet like a spring like eventually is for like the scenario to be like because that might do running back to like pocket of the spring that might focus on finding out about like basically that like for uh for like the sense of spinning at like point of expression at this like headquarters and the scenario that I'm so that at that point at that micro thing by the like finding out that like it's all connected to that comes very behind that the situation of that proceeding that the scenario that I was going to like at that point I was trying that all that like happened and like okay, like definitely like at that point then like might happen like finding out about like the situation like might be the strong feeling effect of like the might like what might is that and definitely able to like might at that point definitely deciding that they feeling that they let's say as well as that okay then that is the that the form of element that the mind so lead to that authority to all the base case. So for my like a form of that come back to that comment and make it that comes to going or and in that sort just that in that but get on the mic just from the units can put out of that and that way I can that might along with that maybe that Jonathan as well. As well as like Jonathan front of things slightly maybe that deciding like a friend now and they do them all that basically correctly along with like perspective then I will like them all correctly heading back to that pocket to that zone this that to that zone and then with whole situation that state also a kind of thing for that it's about the evidence stage that development field sent to them saying that instead to do this like the scenario initially that doing the scenario that is the role. Yes, so like you mentioned and right now it's for like the Johnson like as well as like in the right now it's the thing that actually that they get shows that says you can be able to let's see 11 will be along the night like the second was when even they and you bring that the 11 is like living with that job like that those company might not be having that the which might have not registered as like Australia like the guardian of like she might be more about having payment document that might be like that person to give the reason like change current names like current name like change offer like a name might be offer that will be having that so might have understood that we have to register as that the guardian like the name of Korean the blame was putting that way and with that those don't be present at that that one right on so putting that sorry so being unable to that contact so the dollars that was not there was fine. And the blame to that the people that those and not able enough so that it will be after that about permission out to be that then given that them meeting Yuri and after that it will be after like them meeting Yuri and then get the team that after the person that those would be regarding to that regarding that and regarding to that sort before heading back to that call and set up points that might get I think 11 and all of them will tell us that so like so preparing to continue there that one that joins the deep range and at that point, I'm going to find that place of me finding out about that updated situation with that 11 flag situation, that person out for the Julie and the things like scenario that so like at that point I would spend the place of your like the case to be worried and the me would be that the price that up for to get back and see 11 say the level the name for everything and also my empathy for continuing for that things that going with no that California right now so maybe might not being able to that not being to able to that deal with that have that so we for enough that can bring to that like on the like might so be deciding for Mike's next spend maybe like 11 like 11 like they having already told Mike about that area it's like one community that has to be and like the situation with left area as well. So definitely I would put in that way that Mike definitely don't think any hope in that basically through them being on technical area like and how to set or delivery. So definitely so defining that like that's like one problem that I'm exploring. So like the other problem that I'm exploring is for like 11 more time involved like sector area like the other that I'm exploring. So like that way I can explain that Mike and team that will be that to stealthily right into like the jury and basically talk to like everyone and find out so when that and basically that way you soon trying parents and actually not enough to uh, and that way for them to be able to learn particularly in level to the 11th rank like my campus facility. So like that is such major like another like definitely not my like self integrating into like into the like personality that I'm doing and like and step that up to step like making it towards like the different like the like now so like that's the part like maybe then only at that point like finding out about like careers situations like scenarios that is the so that point I was that might be promising promising given that basically a few months like the situation planning that totally there was definitely like coming to technique made and able to get given out as a curiosity so returning that share getting rid of which around like might be promising to like and basically they will be returning like all about the that I'm going to and that way going to management and so that from that moment that those who be might know about like elements of the like those who be the face absolutely worried and panicking and the clear that those who do nothing to that standpoint especially from that like those will stay there to that do we can say they are like a like those which is straight away that will be straight away assuming that to that extent worry of those like those under developing things like that the background that so it's not being like suppose you might be thinking of like it might not be handling a document or might not be an official guardian of that like so you do not worry not even thinking about that obviously straight away doesn't it to that the hierarchy and I think pretty well that like to be able to that yeah, that was not like so like that's not around so like I'm not sure like the documents and so at that point that between ending up in that situation was like going on the other side where I think we don't have like the waiting but still able to make those not like make and just say to the and like put that after the back question to like make it and like it's not that I'm just you know the form those are below like everything I cannot cloud those like make it like now that was what that way that from different like source at that point like maybe 20% and this one that and yeah that was straight away to be getting up and also like my younger friends that being person that going to have this in not mind to like to so straight away begin like the quickly begin and get done with like the process of like obtaining full sprint as like 11 like guarding so that so straight away like boom starting like the that uh, towards like getting that document is like the straight away like the scenario that I'm doing. Right? Although you might have been percent of differing in form that 11 will at most likely have a surprise waiting at lecture TV. And then a surprise about when the person of the like we need to be in that can like the scenario that I've done. So like in that can like in the uh, one of carries that one group of actively most likely getting captured and asked that scenario and then to like do this now that I'm so like at that point I'm looking like carry to new company like carry that so that capture kind of carry that into carry eventually that allow us to be captured and get answer and that based into like use like it's another so like carry as well as that carries from that way across the like not only seeing within that like situation at the same plot or like cell like within our parents and by sure points on being so that exact cell that like will be unfaithful and like use like straight away it's like can do like use straight away like it's not that good so like the moment like 11 will be entering the cell like that are the surprise of like can like waiting for negative like same scenario kind of you know like I'm going to end which is all and the player referring like about the like eventually by the time that goes on the like getting from like the documents and basically that getting up to some instead of like what the garden of like and basically to that app hope of that end of the content of especially at this point like actually being able to do that so then all of them being able to that make 11 that and on top of that even at that point one flexible and I can also be showing up again even at that point that can not be allowed to that make 11 and then bring that the moment that actually that make some sort of that specific excuse of like a vague kind of like non specific but like vague kind of like excuse of like a reason for like no and I will to like uh to like need to have any question scenario that because like I'm sort of trying by them like and like the situation being like most likely So, like in like proceeding for next thing that you work that people that are like after like that by then that are not likely finding out that kind of get immediately that unlike to do that kind of thing that them take the rate of taking the ways like another that point of like can last how and trying to like stop that like with an art that I'm so like at that point I'm going to find that so finding out that can you well having like similar power that in like 7 and I'm going to find that them totally would be assuming that like 11 might be no feeling like a thing and that might be the reason for like you and I don't use that power when and like not be aware of the 11 like having power just like that way like them and taking away and moving towards carrying as well as 11 from that side. I'd like to be to they are check what else like in other that I'm doing and again from using their influence like the Zulu black so getting to the limits and basically totally agreeing to that you know anyone who that was you know or like carry like 26 and that and that way like like anything one like like what that goes would be 11 spring has like the guardian of that 11 like up to like the seconds then in that point like those not being able to like kind of those not from like or like on the other sport you will like those like knowing so you have technique and like like not about it. So that at that point of the definitely that just like making cuts and I would see another people see in the generation and which are getting people expect to get this but yeah that when you come up with the connector if you definitely what's up that from straight away getting my number like that is me that is definitely going to that especially in the right the right to will end up the and so after that you need get an thing like will get up the line like those if you're taking that that right that is another like definitely number thing that might and don't know all of them but yeah I don't want something you got here like important like up you know like those like them wait up the night like them so needs the thing trading thing to that to do and at that point when I'm trying that so that I'm working on the point to be when like something else like I'm just finding out that basically about like the mystery and about like element you know being in consent and expecting scenario and that whole situation like I'm like spiraling into like going and making off and finding out about like transfer of that element and flow of that element to the technology and in that way like I said, that person all of them like trying to that need 11 and like that thing for and definitely then probably not being able to the things that okay there is that in it yes definitely I'm yet like instead of whole chapter page items of like needing items like need like usually then finding out about like the sponsor of 11 like all connected things like separately situated in a wrong so like that was still not the like no like those to like fall and you know I think that so we to be the like suppose receiving of that of that individuals have been more important to to that legacy that like to the government and entities that we have that in that like that right and all from that is straight away to be heading off back to Hong Kong the scenario. So that we saw that the integration is that way to like state when it's like the scenario that we so then the end of the right now is that or might be totally having like the experience of thinking of like the say of the support like the beautiful thing that was pretty having like since they had like spread a complex within with that of the game back in like the past in like it is like the knowledge of like the secure that comes uh and the machines like multiple machines that interesting even in that don't get about like proper thing in that but yeah in like the single things that things that might be kind of the lines of like that here that corporate person here an exchange of this and that corporate person might be having a thing that's certainly the positive that I'm referring might be the reason for like corporate and while corporate has like open can leave and escape on the airplane like on the very next day like corporate right now is that going to such extreme measures to that to sorry, it's like for instance, right now that might be for that day for like opportunity on the like very might try to do that. Then might have a family explore that contains and like the period of anything continuing of treatment to that before heading back to like mountain sport like how comes to like ensure that it returns to other opportunities for like in other case being present or like being very in this like when the Western based and then the cities of training might be around the like of my point to like ensure the top maybe might be like that with the maybe the realm of the that that way according to my perspective which something that's really good that the bring that kind of might like a how complex simply leaning out and it made the so like pro plan that to be to make that was narrow that I can for pointing like the complex between as well as like I'm just remembering that person like also doing that the case might be in that government like state in that person based so like I'm going to send that offer or like might be in the process of like opening like the gate and so that in like the past like a different city condition that in the past like the gate that is being opened with that I think that is I just think to be opened with like the on the beginning in like the beginning of like the range of that for example for that it might be eventually that case the school getting open that might also settle in like those like and sort of like having this like thing to learn and stuff. But like I'm soon after like that most of my job ended like it might have run this through that phase and it straight away they might have turned down like the competition might have been more than 15 so like as person like they might have but both might have all the necessary preparations to like to think of like the great member of like once they will be entering to the gate once like the gate injury or something like like the some situation in the base the main according to that that way like a person like the complex machine might be actually in its like working like state of like trying to like open the gate might be like the situation like the percentage just meeting the might be the game to the player to go like they have expressed that way open like in that the left night like simply doing that thorough exploration to the purpose and finding this almost making situation and balance that the day between the emotional it's like the scenario that is and that way like a was pop up and at that point of the story like info securely finding for the black question that I need to know the story that there that point like pop up situation like second top plan into the level of the conference on for managing the like on the rest of like in the for the pronouncing into that like in black importance like so pop up like basically get the piece and basically and destroy like the conference meeting as well as like take out like the similar from like then Black Panther will be giving Enzo extra would be along the lines of the spring that pop-up would be somehow managing doing that so Black promise like the trust of Black Enzo and that lead that way Enzo usually ending up deciding so that help more out like basically that way like I'm going like while and Enzo would be that together like trying to like would be appearing in like the front like number 15 identities then while attempting to like take out like the basic unit ones that are destroying that most likely it works to be improved when you do that attempt that I'm destroying that the most of like things are taking out info like is now that thing. Yet like by then like half of that manage somehow starting to going to like by the direct phase of like some of that yeah there's another kind of it. So like that way okay also sort of like that way so we can take out and really uh, and like basically that's why then like I'm sort of would have so and so would have in when or just like where exactly to that the person on like the very next step for like focus that's like the name of prayer so that way like I'm doing that after taking out like some of them like like taking out of like the base and like totally making it and making it is like the airplanes that it's now quite a bit of okay, so that still in a trend that the new water of the page might be with the way that means my different and the only like most of them like they might be like they might be faced in the might be they might not face they might but might be like that so the videos so that we have and that other chapter on like now like 30 years before like 11 things like that so the free that trying to claim that so different that so it might have been an extremely young run up like while working at that method one that might have like given their own like the train so with the train might have been transferred from like the student to uh, through that method or like influence that can that might have been transferred from like the institution and like to like like a crime is there like one of might have carried out full like picture or like freelance picture might have and like might have gained anything results but might have not been able to control that day like picture claims like uncontrollable telekinesis powers might have ended up with like picture claims like ending up getting trapped in like the parallel suddenly might happen. So that might have been what might happen. And getting trapped in like the bad word eventually because pain might have been captured by like the patient, one of the students was that way. Which the pain might have been put into that kind of situation that how will one put into in that system past in like the parallel or something like that. That might be the form actual forms of that conversion of that element to that in nerd model. So like that way the brain might have got turned into the nerd model and then that particular place eventually might have been taken control by the mind players. The people play. So definitely might be that the mind player might have felt different ways after that so and that they like and have potential that maybe in that way that there might be that way that this game will like fitness or basically that way and like definitely having that telekinesis power but all that like I'm sorry so the now memory when she takes control of the space the signal of that might have been it a brain at that point then the might might have been able to then definitely not able to so like that way that the mind flap might have showed up with the sleep and might have that given an additional transformation this that new monster look that's the face might have been created by like the mind flap and it might have that better into like this new monster with that the face that can certainly feed as well as that use that telekinesis toy might be like something with certainly might be very and that new monster with the face might be located to this like new monster form power might be totally might not be at all might be like that so they can be able to be like the brain so like the platform like the propagation of the is for like the takeout of like the features well as for like a like for this like wine like thing happening to like the ones of that space to might be it might be that might be the life of that picture frame might be on from that the targets from the distance to that picture frame and that way that might be that like than in the young young and maybe even strong of the black means like targeting that by might be like that to take in the dating particular thing. So like with that no amount of the survey that way might have found a way to like achieve what I mean. Might be like the acquainted like a possibility of like the representation that name might be like a because of the dialogue. So like the we make it good in some right now is that we talk that the dot is created in like when like the between that that's like now the talk getting worse around worse of then and not getting even more and more and consider resulting in that good score between that and we can problems like the scenario that able to end up then that eventually getting that and going back towards that end of like the forest make picture for different like totally expressing the feelings towards like family conflict and if they family talks in front of it would be at that point the straight away reject only rejecting and maybe even walking in one of that so of it then just not and that often at that point the big thing you that to the point that I'm but like I'm saying that because the at that point like stay that I'm going to be whatever problem and I'm going at that point like that inviting them like Robin and stay with me resulting in like way to leave Robin and stay any other like the relationship in that scenario that I was doing and certainly in terms of thing like again towards like end of like season four of like spring things like and the different like the relationship between like Johnson as well as like Nancy instead of eventually ending up in a breakup like and between like this ending up becoming strong of the that Nancy as well as like Johnson like uh feeling their relationship is like a more mature manner like even scenario that are difficult and that way also bring like eventually in like season even if season five of like for example the thing for like with Robin as well as Lieutenant is still not getting along like the scenario that it is about and the them bring more likely to for to be only towards left end of that towards the later portions of like by space things that we can find these that once again Nancy and Robert will find the very self settled and like the friendship getting strong perspective scenario that are visible and not again right now. Okay, so like me going to the right now, the base of like basketball is real right now. So that means like we should generate like a and because like don't let the coach and like people just like the that was right now like resulting in like that means that not only right but like runs like that only so I think that about that Lucas actually knows where that Eddie is and is meeting that secret from the so like I'm looking at that but like them she's legitimating because she like the star is there because I'm like going to get care and if the actually telling actually that out of that we are like telling like the truth about like the exact location of like Eddie exact scenario and so like at that point still I'm the super like and the and so that point might be still having that suspicion of like about what maybe Lucas like lying to that like product Eddie so like I'm looking like being a tracer Lucas and like then definitely that taking Lucas along with the while heading off to that location of like any that because of our goal is like now that so like that making it there and everything I like them finding edit when showing at that point is like the scenario that I'm going to so like at that point itself on the difference sitting in the like five things about them like five things about all things like in getting a exactly like see that in the like in the scenario that I'm going to because like so the question about the environment like to do the related conversation with like nothing like understanding of that. And that way on might be feeling the possibility of that basically what you might have said about like anything that's taking for one differently at that point by then that might be only feeling that actually like it's yeah like I'm done get us out of that answer yeah uh like they remain silent that maybe any like people feel that with us feel that and the one and so like now that I'm with the so like that so the some sort of resource to be that but quite getting into totally suffering that I'm living right now for like one of my like the basketball year of friends that like target by like the real like so at that point like starting like see like the monster and like the bad word of like the scenario that so especially I'm bring that and him like shouting out in that absolutely seeing like the monster and it's really at that point is when I'm looking for that will be when you're delivering like the team of that industry and also they will showing up to that exact thing. So like fight and like they would have gone to like the officer like the represent would have read like the documentation of that the short office about that the team indeed and everything that made out about like the fields of that one the team uh they saw like if you get seeing like and hearing like anything about all that that during the current discussion like that, like the rapid outcome with the about my team, like all that I'm bring like what Stevens and those will join up to that trading space and maybe seeing like one of like about the leaders different like I think that very same similar pattern like the documented by of like the writer of this like the very same pattern of like the things that I have different like that point like that so being right about that I that one friend like the one earlier like the friend at that point for like already getting badly injured and at that point like Eddie would be seeing probably finding that Lucas like standing right there and like Eddie would be telling Lucas to like tell the to like stop but like like at that point would be like completely ignored Eddie to like listen out of that fear so that I think my focus very unfortunate that I think on those that live and that might actually be frustrated and so that Robin as well as like Nancy like fear might actually be around the living things so and like it's being used today between like the finding of like back in that all the way back in like 1959 and basically and it's being really the 1959 is when like it's being in there right now but that would have like spike so it will use that don't let me I think the thing is that but now and basically the police basically most likely they like it is the part that the job of that microgram which might have considering that the according to my anything like it's likely just like this is like various like runners like past experiments like while carry is like I think like now something and basically it's like 11 is like considered as like runners like experiment of like that 20% example like of something like that so it's like carry was like considered failure and still even at something like this is like with like the revelation that like carry has like attained like no intelligence power but also not like hallucination creation powers as well. So that again the point like that so different different maybe it might be that actually for the that past experience of like which Pranav might not seem to be until 11 that like Pranav might not seem to be a failure might eventually might have had all the power of Black 11 within them, but like it might have been only a delay, might have been all those powers might have been in like a dormant like state, and like it might have been a scenario where like they are through in like the previous experience of runners, like they have faced like the growth of like their powers might have been surfacing in like a delayed manner when compared to 11 case, like in 11 case like runners experience. The result might have been that in 11 case like the result like happening without any delay at all. Might have been what might have happened. So like 11 quite 11 case like 11 might have actually again like taking this powers as well as that there's a existing like the android as well as telepathic powers like I'm doing working like the previous experience of like from like 1 to 10 might have been a delayed growth of that their powers. It might have suddenly like turned out nearly straight away without realizing that like assuming that or as like failures might have been what might have happened with the minimal correction. So definitely that way that exactly that how as person like carrying out the delicate powers as well as like the medicine or like the project for an very first experience and the subject which like back then might have been actually young back in like 1959 that while someone was that something at like my culture like basically at that point like the very first terms of the company might have been actually might have been with definitely my consider number. So definitely and that way like in something like remembering that like that while trying to get for enough to protect and when certain things to like out the way again painting because might have director might have gone and we that the telekinesis burst might have happened and at that point like that might have certain lack of the brain getting trapped in like the backbone and then that can be like that whole delay that growth of that the of all the powers of natural brain might have been the proliferation of the living so like it might have been only after like a great number of years that they slowly like the power of electric field might have started to that kind of and so one by one might have been what might have happened to the brain so like even before that like a historical brain might have got captured by one of like the cases in monsters and might have got transformed might have got converted into that they might have got converted into that okay similar might have been one might have happened and eventually but it might have been only recently that like considering that the giant fossil might have taken some of that which is late and the brain might have even that gained like the power of intelligence might have even that sort of for like well like in such a way like the brain can control and use this black technique of the brain that might have been only might have happened to like a shoot the face only like the written person definitely might be like that person to do something on brain and it might be like the reason for like it feel like from like when I like is writing all the way back in like 1959 and basically after all this great number of years like it being now it like that now like might be might be the global patient especially when so like the thing that 20 made might have been the crazy building and basically that way like some time in the brain commission in like all the way back in like 1959 might have been due to that thing actually being traced might have been that was the situation and that way like of it as well as like natural theory of like just existing that all the way back in that 1959 might be as like a demon might be absolutely wrong might be like the case like the possibility that it is also today. So it's so like the question right now is that so might have been pronounced like flow so it was like main existence all the way back from left thing was right might have geometry might have been working with might have been that track 20 situation that of the track so that one to might have been made in that run so then might be knowing the level aware of that I don't remember that like it's a fail that according to my reference or something like might have been scenario of that runners that way was experience of telling them being on with the freelance thing that way losing control and getting back left the fan might have been what might have happened and that even might have been a witness to the incident as well. Might be that again the human brain. So that we have correct that points might be knowing the that mark to well and that the certain incident just like in that police state as well as like correct state like the police points by seeing like the patterns that that point definitely might have realized that like the really that question really and I put it to the and has been taken along by that from the like the band board. Might be along the lines like don't might have straight away realize and more likely it might have get out to the conclusion might be that the difficult situation that you have trained. Definitely it might be definitely while knowing this stuff way so far doing well that like points might be and person like seeking the help from like relevant stuff which might be the impression that we have like in like relevant case like I'm looking what might have happened might have been like the loss of that relevant for might have been that the actual about the reason for relevant losing about might be due to that power like maybe due to that use relevant using the power that far beyond the threshold limit at like extreme low frequency repeatedly multiple times might have been like the fact that might have suddenly that like or maybe might that way going into certain state for that was like intensive power like some story that it might have gone through that extremely long dormant state. So like for those my particular from that elements like power that person might be in that slow recovery phase of that and eventually coming awakening might be that situation of that event or continuous creating. So like the play course might and the of like it's like we have really that he knows on how to have 11 years to get that about like I'm different that process might be definitely having its like consequence as well. I might feel like that could be security definitely up there. So like points might be knowing that so way to like accelerate the slack recovery from like the normal from like the normal state of like doing like taking this course. It might be like the good situation at the manager and the human, but there might be a consequence and a side effect to that to those such an acceleration of that recovery process by force through whole experience land. That's like the scenario that everything else that we're doing that like might have it like confidence the confidence might be 11 like basically having maybe a reduced of like lifespan might be along the lines of the maybe Owen spelling that 11 is like doing the scenario that I'm looking for. So end up being that to save Hawkins and to save that then that gets the real world like on this one that doing the scenario to be like maybe 11 taking that absolute sacrifice and basically done still saying yes to like to accelerate the recovery from that power and basically that's like giving the scenario and that way you're getting that like helping and jump to different one learning getting that building program for different land. It not being same as the top, but if they must smaller than the like the moment you getting that sort of building process like the intensity being way more stronger like the scenarios set up with the developer kind of frame. Because that according to my orientation that elements powers might be having that maybe might be having that factor like might be exactly like how elements like your powers as well might be having that zero pattern showing and like time of definitely not creating. But like the difference might be that even though growth is stopping on the certain form that 11 like the elegant is for within 11 lactics, but that might be something that might be consistently like today or throughout like elements like might be how like the building person might be talking like this might be like a case of inference. So like the quantum experience is quite technical against all remaining which might have been born into a dog and temporary dog and like say that person like still as time pass like improvement that as time pass like improving that even by remaining that state that the latest cause might have grown a lot by now. Definitely might be very efficient. So that lead that way by the time like phones will be like make it possible for like element to be able to like regain back to the solve like and like the vector can solve like at that point being way more stronger and it's just than the like in this therapy from the brain is fine. Also the plate my consider right now so like 11 to like right now that we even tell Owens about like can that if we that they need to get carry up to like join 11 against this like formidable force that's like and then integer like the end of things like topics. Would be along the lines of different that element right now telling functions like right now it's like placing all that focus solely on 11 more than anyone. Like I'm talking about like definitely 11 and something might be feeling that will give the range of that mechanism from that popping to that they might be extremely intent than severe than perform that extremely greater than the basically that getting the help from Cali as well might be a great idea. Maybe along the lines that learn to think definitely not great. So that definitely not great right now that like in the case of phones like ones might be are like unaware about like carry might be the case like a possibility that so that's like one possibility that I'm making. So like might be of like the function that basically yeah by 11 elections above have taken out like the instrument of the things like carrier things might have got taken out might be around the lines like on might have seen this definitely on the creation because like phone and runner might have it between like a person when might have had like one between each other because like runners way of like like parents and might have might have been feeling that it's still being in the landscape for like those and say like might have totally had a lot of fun with like that way like might have and that way like might have fit from that like a kind of because might have been one might have might have been so like it might be after that that might have started with like experiments with like the 11 total 11 10 topics from 1 to 11 might have been like so like any points exponent might be of like something than that like or the remaining extent of the or like 11 had taken within the past might be of the function of like what is maybe technical forward. Select one particular element. The other particular element is definitely this like points at probably so the frame for like 11 like in like so the particular element for like points maybe being aware of carrier that way like right now telling 11 about like actually some like turning Cali as well and basically bomb 11 as well as Cali to like team up in this like fight again to bring down like not the would get up like sounds telling 11 right now that they go like definitely might have the random fight was definitely for that match to like definitely survive and definitely all due to that 11 that was another parameter but like I'm definitely like mostly once like right now to do into the topic of magic and will be about to like take out Maxine like and like mentioned at that point in like that levitated kind of like state it's run off that without it and also like with another kind of so like at that point like the all being in that was shocked and yeah I'm like sorry of like make them was imagine but like at that very last second is when I'm between like points it's like excellent on 11 to regain back 11 stack power that I think it's a like the scenario that I'm looking so like the moment at that point like the explain years something like a feeling that happened in like living like telekinesis power like happening and that intensity of that telekinesis power of like 11 point like getting back that telekinesis power yeah, so this so extremely intense that so the bring at that point definitely but not totally sensing sensing that and being shocked with that after intensity like anyway that telekinesis power that basically at that point like not going to be like closing windows on like 19 and being straight away forward to 11 at that point and going up to like 11 to like for example 11 and then seeing the scenario that I'm and that will end up being like in such an in that manner of like slowly to like 11 like and be like 19 getting safe because that scenario that I'm going to the time of